Nicholas has lived in his home for more than 30 years, but he's got one giant problem, a tree. He says it has to go, but council won't budge.
I don't blame the tree, I blame the council right now.
One big tree causing gigantic problems.
Let's just do what makes sense right now and replace the darn thing before it becomes an even bigger problem.
Nicholas has lived in Toorak in Melbourne for 30 years and says the tree in his front yard needs to go.
Over the years, I started to notice more and more plumbers in my front yard, digging up the garden, repairing water pipes, unblocking sewage, fixing leaks in the irrigation and the drainage.
It's beautiful, but it's draining his bank account. The root of the problem is, you guessed it, the roots.
How much has this tree cost you?
On plumbing repairs in the last 3 years, in excess of $20,000. On pruning over that period, $8,000 to $9,000. And looking forward, with the driveway the way it is, it's going to be about $40,000 to replace.
So you're creeping towards $100,000 spent on this tree?
Yeah, I am.
Nicholas went to his local council, who rejected his request twice.
I asked the CEO, how much would this tree have to cost me for you to allow me to remove it? And I'm still waiting on an answer.
A Current Affair has done many stories about people taking tree removal into their own hands, but Nicholas is trying to do the right thing. And to add insult to rejection, he says no one from the council has even been out to inspect the tree. The Stonington Council says it did inspect the tree multiple times using qualified arborists and did not find credible evidence linking the tree to the extent of the damage claimed. It says the level of cost claimed by the resident is not supported by evidence, and protecting healthy, mature trees remains critical to long-term sustainability and livability.
It's becoming more and more common recently because of, I guess, the increase in density in housing, and trees are living organisms, so when they're planted they're quite small and then they grow over time.
Dispute solicitor Christian Marcus.
Most people like trees, but if it's causing damage, there's probably no level of reasonable damage where a tree should remain. Recently, councils have seemed to have forgotten that there's a possibility that trees can cause property damage or even a risk to lives.
Nicholas says the tree does pose a danger.
I'll show you this photograph of a falling branch that came down some months ago. I now have a grandson who's almost old enough to be running and playing in this garden. So when I see this photograph, it kind of gives me chills.
He can keep fighting, but council says the next step is to take it to the Ombudsman or the Supreme Court.
The Supreme Court?
Supreme Court of Victoria. I talked to a lawyer, a friend of mine, and he said, mate, we're talking in excess of $50,000, $60,000 to start something like that.
You're stuck between a tree and a hard place.
Yeah, couldn't have put it better, Brendan. I mean, in this wide, crazy world we live in, I don't think this tree deserves to go to the Supreme Court.
He just wants the council to see sense and extend an olive branch.
It just seems crazy to me that a council policy should put a ratepayer in a position where they might even have to bring forward the sale of their house because of a cost burden that they've created.